And folks, welcome back for another review of Atlanta, episode 9, Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga. And before we get into tonight's episode, definitely want to start off by a rest in peace in that of Kevin Samuels. Whether you liked him or whether you didn't, a man lost his life. It's a lot of commentary going on the internet that I don't agree with, but
or as I refer to him as King Samuels, but you know, it's either here or there.
Either way, a man lost his life, and it was a thorough surprise to see him in this episode of Atlanta. But at this point now, I think we all can just kind of agree that like you never know what you're going to get with these episodes, and seeing Kevin Samuels was a surprise, and you know, obviously with his very untimely surprise of a death, you know, that I'm sure they did not expect for it to align like this, but you know, so yeah, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels, who was guest starring in this episode as where's his name? Robert Shea Lee. But anyway, in this episode, we have Aaron, because the synopsis is not going to tell you what this episode is, but we will. Aaron is a young mixed boy who appears to be, first of all, the episode is shot in noir, which I always say upon any bit of media that I review, that noir is always a bold statement, and it's just fitting for them to have a black and white episode in Atlanta to make a bold statement. But you have Aaron, who has a black dad. That's very evident. Aaron is clearly mixed, more favoring towards his light-skinned side of it. And his dad definitely makes it very clear. So, you know, the colorism aspect is in it and whatnot. But, you know, Aaron is, he's looking forward to going to college. He has his mindset on, I believe it's Arizona State University. But, you know, if you're going to go to college, you got to have some money, and he's trying to figure that out. And his father is not really on board with helping him out with that, even in terms of obtaining financial aid, which financial aid just needs to feel like his FAFSA form, and his dad's like, listen, I'm not doing all that. You need to save some money.
Don't fall for the trap.
Yeah, you know, so there's a lot of commentary to make with this episode. I know we're not going to be able to cover it all, because I know there's going to be things that will slip. Like even that with the FAFSA, his dad is basically saying like, I didn't want to go to college, but if you're not going to pay for this up front, don't fall down that ploy of student loans. And that's a conversation in his own. So, but you know, Aaron is just trying to figure it out. So yeah, we want to start with this episode, man, because you know it went all over the place. There's a lot of statements made in this episode.
Like I said, right at the beginning, him gaming with clearly black kids online, and just kind of his choice of response to the hate, the hated comments that you normally get on these online games. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that, hey man, you ain't getting no pussy because you're so good at the game. You know what I mean? Shit like that. You probably this, that, the third. And of course, you know, his response is, hey, you know, probably, you know, some monkeys. He do the noises and everything like that. And I just thought that was interesting, that, you know, because black people don't you know, kind of come at each other like that, you know what I mean, when it comes to that type of but I feel like that was the first check. That was the first check of like where he was on the black scale as far as response to that situation.
Right. Yeah. Anybody who's not an online gamer, the online environment is absolutely ferocious. So you're getting this from all sorts of departments. I mean, you're getting it from kids, you're getting it from adults, you're getting it from blacks, you're getting it from whites. I mean, online gaming commentary can be some of the most hatred, most racist playgrounds, period. So like, yeah,
to the point now that they literally have to monitor these rooms now at any red flags, because it's so bad.
Yeah, and you'll get banned, and that doesn't stop people, because people just will create a new account and just do the same thing. I'll be honest though, like in the beginning, like the commentary, I'll be first to say I'm conditioned. Like it's just like we know what it is, so it's just like, you know, although the words and the gestures are completely harsh, like it's absolutely just a norm. And like the fact that, you know, he appears to be white, and he's mixed, you know, it doesn't make it any better. It's just saying like this is what happened. But I do agree, like I don't feel like black on black happens in that fashion, but we do talk trash talk. But I don't feel like most black people are racist in their trash talking online gaming. But I definitely feel that. Well, I've known I've been called a nigga on there plenty of times. So Call of Duty's like a whole. I mean, you gotta have some tough skin, you know what I mean? But you know, and that. Right, but let me because this is what this show does. The show tries to tell you messages and try to like draw comparisons or references to things. So first of all, first thing I want to correct is he's going to Arizona State College, not Arizona State University. So not ASU, ASC. But the fact that he was playing this game and it looks to be some, you know, off-brand version of Fortnite and whatnot, and he gets pissed and he, you know, kicks back and he's just like, he's done with the game. He rage quits and he goes to thinks about his future and whatnot. This is telling of something that I remember when I was growing up. That was, I mean, everybody knows about it, but I don't think everybody remembers exactly how this went down. But this was Columbine, and the dudes that were bullied on Columbine were playing Doom. They weren't playing online, but because of the game that they were playing, because of their bullying, because of them being bullies, as they say, they went and they took the game to heart and they went to Columbine and shot the school up. So the fact that he was playing the game, bullied online, decided, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and build me a flamethrower. And then we see at the end of the episode, the other dude, also black, also telling you that in these environments, he was clearly bullied as well, too. He says, I'm about to go back and take it out on the school. Just think about this now. The school has nothing to do with anything. But the fact that because of everything that was happening and then the correlation to what the game, the messages and the visions and whatever you want to say that the game kind of directed them towards it, that's where he decided to go back and lay casualty of it. He could not get into college, so like he went back to his high school to take it out on, like sort of the train of thoughts of where they say these mass shooters happens from these type of things. You know, even if you watch that show, what was it, 12 Reasons Why, it was on Netflix and whatnot. It's like this reoccurring theme of folks saying like because of other things happening in their life, they go back and they, in this case, flame up the school. So like that, I think that, you know, the correlation that they were trying to print with how like things kind of happen out of nowhere. It takes nothing for somebody to explode or just, let's just say, have a very bad day and say like, I'm going to take it out on the school. You know what I mean?
I want to be real clear. Video games do not make you shoot people or burn your school down. That is completely some other sources that are boiling in that pot. But that just happened to be the theme that he wanted to go towards. You know what I mean? I've never played Call of Duty and wanted to shoot anybody or burn the school down.
Yeah, but I mean, they made these comparisons for years. I mean, they say the same thing.
And it's been disproven many a time. Like that, there's no correlation to video games and that type of behavior. Like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. So, you know, next thing, you know, he takes the car ride to school with his dad, and he's explaining his whole goal, his whole, you know, what he wants to do in his future. And I should say this, his dad starts to tell him a lot about his reality, about what being black is, and you know, to kind of sway him away from certain expectations, and just like I said, explaining a reality to him. But anyway, he gets to school, and you know, at school, this is the assembly. I think everybody's had this in school. That sort of last assembly before you get to that point where you're like, well, school's getting ready to end. This is it. You know what I mean? This is our almost our last step of us being together before we make our next step. Because everybody's clearly in college mode. Everybody's looking and applying to the schools, and the commentary about that as well too. Which I'm kind of jump around a little bit because this episode did unpack a lot, but like, you know, folks have their ideas of what college they want to go to and what obstacles it's going to take for them to get to that college. And it was interesting that Aaron's girlfriend at the time was just like, well, you know, it's easier for black folks to get into school.
Right.
And Aaron kind of says like, not really. I mean, and there are schools that have diversity programs and they try to hit diversity quotas and percentages and whatnot. But the biggest thing is you still can't go if you can't afford to go. You don't have the money to go, you can't go. So like I mean, that just explains to you the problem with the system as well too. Like they don't provide aid for black folks. They want you to go, but you can't pay to go, so you get a loan to go to get yourself in debt and end in debt and stay in debt for the remainder of your life. It's really systematically bad. It's really bad. And I think that like while that was a very like undertoning statement of everything that's going on in this episode, it's also a very realistic reality that a lot of folks right now are looking for Biden for some relief, but you know, it's not a conversation for another day. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, so you know, like just jumping back for a second, that whole comment about the dad talking about when you graduate, we go in a Golden Corral was the funniest shit ever. If every black person they go to a Golden Corral, Old Country, or some restaurant after they graduated, you know, so I just like that's the plan. You got to pay for this out of your own pocket. That's the reality of it, like you said. A lot of, you know, later on where it became like programs where like the poorer you were, the, you know, they wanted to give you this money, you know what I mean? Like if you lived in low income housing or something like that, they wanted to pay for you to go to college and stuff like that, you know, for whatever the reason, you know, was behind it. But, you know, I got a lot of friends that because they lived in certain neighborhoods, they wound up getting, you know, a majority of the ride covered, you know what I mean? With, you know, had to pay back a little bit, but nothing serious. And the conversation with Kate and their friends, it's like they literally sitting around hating on black people because of the opportunities that they were given. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm in, but let me take the time to hate on what they are getting. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they got to do this, they got to do that. You know what I mean? Because of this, they got this. Like, why you care? You know what I mean? And you definitely see, like, you know, Aaron having that confliction. Like, okay, do I take my mask off here? Do I reveal myself and be the thing that, you know, he kind of doesn't want people to see him as, you know?
Okay, so yeah, because you're not using the words I would use here. You know, is he trying to remove his privilege for opportunity? Right. You know, or, you know, is he removing his privilege to truly be himself? And I mean, like, once you remove your privilege, you're kind of exiling yourself from these norms or these customary ways that your friends treat you or identify you as. So the moment he goes and be black, then, you know, what does that mean in terms of who he hangs with and how they treat him and how they see him and whatnot? So yeah, I definitely picked up on that as well too. You know, there's another bit of commentary here because, like, I mean, when I watch the show, I always try to think of like, what's the big picture? What are they trying to like? As again, what are they trying to reference in the real world? The next thing, and I don't think that the show actually tried to do this, but coincidentally, it just works out, is the same thing you were saying with Kate and her friends, where they started talking about, well, black people get this and this and that, and da 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 da. I also think that it's the same commentary about the folks who are mad about folks who, when Biden had promised to do student loan forgiveness, you had folks saying like, well, why do people get to get their loans forgiven? I paid for mine. They should have to pay for theirs. And I think
that had a conversation with somebody this week about that. That's funny,
right? And it's just like that sort of a toning that people have racism and prejudice aside, but then you add those two things back in it, and you just tells you just how severe those conversations could be and how opinionated people can be towards you for things, because at the end of the day, it's not taking anything away from you, but you're looking like, oh, well, they're getting stuff, I should be getting something too. And that's just the wrong way of going about things. But I mean, like, Aaron came through and explained, like, nah, it's hard for black people. Like, he kept it 100. He tried to explain as best as he could to them, like, they don't get all the opportunities like we get and whatnot. And so also, I should just mention Stonewall Jackson being the name of the school, folks. If anybody doesn't know, he was, because I know a little bit about U.S. history here. He's a Confederate commander. And more recently, I think what is so about 2020, his statue was taken down in Richmond, which was one of the last Confederate monuments to be taken down up in our region, shall I say. I'm not sure what's happening down south, but I mean, like, it's sort of telling that when they had the school name removed, it's sort of the same progressions that were kind of happening all over, well, in our Confederate area on the East Coast. What am I saying? With them removing Stonewall Jackson as being the school name to being Robert Shea Lee. So, you know, when I talk about, again, how this show tries to like correlate itself to other things, that's sort of, I think, what they were, I guess another way of a symbolic way of saying, like, you know, removing Confederate monuments and statues going forward. This was just another one of those ones where, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm not sure how many school names have changed or whatnot, but I'm sure like if that's not a message that they're trying to say, like, hey, I know y'all got some statues out of here, but maybe you need to get some school names out of here too. So it can be that
just missing overnight, thrown in the river. Like, what happened?
Actually, they properly removed them, so they're in. I mean, they're being preserved in this a sense, but they're just out of just
they're trying to cause no hate.
Right, but you had people that took matters in their own hand. I don't know about anything going in the river. You just saying that, or did that really happen?
No, I was just saying, just giving an example of like.
Terrell, listen, you get yourself together because I'm not going to be out here dealing with these people in the comments. That ain't really happening. You control all you want, and
hey man, people are already hate checking the comments just to be hating on the show. Oh, it's another episode. They not even on. Shut up. All right, we here to give commentary on the episode, not how you feel about whatever. Like,
so after Kate and the friends along with Aaron, and I think this is when Aaron got fed up because he said, listen, I got to go get that scholarship because once
this money.
Yeah, once Kevin Samuels, aka Robert Shea Lee, says, listen, I'm paying everybody's college tuition if you're black. This is where, Aaron finds his opportunity to, reap his benefits, audition in order to get his check.
Prove your blackness.
If we ain't see the biggest examples of cultural appropriation up and down the board, you had the group of dudes saying Boys to Men. You had people trying to crip walk, dude thinking he a basketball player, dude with the Wu-Tang shirt, homegirl trying to braid cornrows. I mean, all sorts of things. Somebody dressed like Tupac from Poetic Justice, like all these sorts of different things happening. Like, do-rag, everybody just trying to prove their blackness, and Aaron now had to make his audition because he had to step in front of the tribunal of actors, Kevin Samuels and George Wallace to answer questions for the culture. If you listen to the radio, especially in our area, we got this little segment on our local radio station called Questions for the Culture. And I love this segment. I love that segment, and I love this moment of this episode where Aaron had to prove how black he was by knowing the answers to the questions, starting off with 6 things that you mix with Hennessy. I freaking died. It was so many of them. I don't even know if I can remember half of them, but I just know the first one start off with 6 things you miss with Hennessy. Terrell, do you know 6 things you mix with Hennessy? Because I do.
Sir, I don't like Hennessy at all. I think it's the worst. Was it the cognac? It's terrible.
Oh boy,
terrible. Black people love Hennessy. It's not saying I'm not black. I'm a Jack Daniels, Crown Royal guy. But I just do not like Hennessy, man.
Hey, I don't drink Hennessy either, but I still know 6 things that you drink with it. I know that.
But I know when I go to the bar, they got the strawberry Hennessy, they got the strawberry with Coke, they got the Hennessy lemonade, they got the So I've seen all different mixes. So
the Henny Ritas, man, is a special up at the Dave and Buster's. They got them everywhere, but they got the Henny Ritas. You miss the Hennessy and the Grand Marnier French Connection. You got the Hennessy, and you got the Hypnotic. You got that's the Incredible Hulk. You got the Hennessy and Coke. You got the Hennessy and orange juice, folks. I don't drink Hennessy, but I've been down the block before.
It's overpriced.
Trust me. I'm getting that scholarship check. I don't know about y'all, but I am. Terrell could get his life together.
I just find it funny because like black people gatekeep other black people. You know what I mean? Like this whole commentary, like how we, regardless of your skin tone, there's like some type of like, the memes of like, check your blackness, like, the stuff where you got to remember, black staple movies that you got to see in order to be black and stuff like that. So like the test is completely ridiculous. Hey, grab this pencil and do a beat on the table.
Listen, You got the whole wrong idea. It ain't even nothing to see. The test wasn't about him being able to answer everything or him being able to prove it right. It's basically being able to identify the references that are being made. So the moment that he said make a beat on the table, that was the clear example to tell you like, yo, that's what we used to do back in the lunchroom. Like we had the drinks. We used to go out there and do what we had to do. You know what I mean? Is it mama or is it ma? And like, listen. You and it ain't lucky they ain't go about the things mom say, because that's a whole nother hour of this episode that would have went down if they would have did it. But like, you know, it's just this is a celebration of our culture. That's what I got from this. Right. This is just highlighting the things that, you know, we are accustomed to, the things we've seen, the things we've grown up to, the things we may have heard may not have happened in our household or whatnot. But like you know, and then, you know, that's why they had to start it off with like the whole Hennessy thing. I think a lot of people are off of Hennessy now, but I think that like when you think about Hennessy, you damn sure think about black people, just like they mentioned Popeyes. You know, that's always going to be a staple within our within our culture.
And menthols.
And what?
And menthols.
Jesus. How old are you, sir? Anyway, so anyway, what else do we got to go with this episode? So yeah, once he done did that, you know, he deemed he was not eligible for it, but they said if you bring your dad up here, then you know, you might be able to figure it out. Yeah. You might be able to test him and whatnot. But you know, since he didn't get that scholarship, all those feelings kind of just started boiled up, and he said, "Listen, I'm gonna make this flamethrower," and he goes back up to school to kind of torture down, but that's when he meets the African boy. And the conversation with this is all colorism again, because he's saying either like when you're too black, you're not accepted. When you're not black enough, you're not accepted. And, you know, they have the conversations about it. And, you know, these are really genuine things that people have experienced and have said. And that's what the two of them were kind of going down the list of going about it, of saying like, you know, I've been on the outside because of this, and you saying I've been on the outside because of that and whatnot. And like, I didn't feel like there was anything kind of passive aggressive between the two of them. I think this was just the commentary that most people have had, and I think that's why it had to be built this way in the show and whatnot. But let me see. I
feel like the Nigerian man, and I might be reaching with this, but like, there are like, especially with like the Nigerian culture, where they feel like they are above other black people to a certain extent, not just like, you know, as far as like the skin tone, but just the attitude and the way they present themselves. And they feel like we just like completely uncultured. We've completely lost touch with everything. And this is just me, my personal experience. Like, it's just conversation I've had where they, you know, they kind of look down on other black people that, you know, live a life a certain way or do things, you know, that's not according to that. So I feel like that was kind of the conversation now, because like he said, he was like, you got a culture to go back to. You can go back to whatever, yada yada yada. Whereas though, you know, hey, I'm light skinned, you know, I this is my thing. But like I said, it was just like who was going to burn who first on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, I don't think you're wrong. I've heard those type of notions as well too. But I mean, like, I think that, you know, these are just conversations and feelings that have either been passed down through generations or just, you know, walking embodiments of trauma that folks are enduring in terms of like, you know, folks who are from Africa and then, you know, then eventually move to America. They realize that like Americans are spoiled because people from Africa some of them didn't come from much, and they value, you know, their culture and their family much more than people get here, and they tend to lose their way and whatnot. I mean, it's a lot to make it at, you know, and I think that, you know, personal feelings aside, that, you know, a lot of people just get to a point where they want to speak their mind, whether it's factual or not. People just want to just be heard and understood in terms of their perspective about society, especially within Black culture and whatnot. Anyway, we see Aaron a year later now working at some Staples mixed with Best Buy and whatnot, and
your Best Buys.
some electronics store, and he ends up seeing his own girl. I mean, he's completely now transformed. He got this short haircut, brushing his hair. He's embracing the black style. He got the chain, right? He got the chain. He got the part in his hair. You know, he doing his thing now. But you know, he spits back at his girl, and you know, I think she's feeling him. Here's my thing now. I already picked up what's going on with that, because when she referenced about the guy that she knows that was like, oh, you know, and this black guy, you know, he probably just going to blah 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 and then go 1 year and then go to the NBA and whatnot, and she kind of tried to make it dismissive. It's because like she's clearly attracted to black people, and she was trying to perpetrate around her white friends like she didn't, to keep her privilege, although she was still fucking with black guys. And that's just kind of what that whole thing was about, because the moment he came at her black, he looked at the screen, you know, breaking the third wall, basically like, see, we knew what she was the entire time. And I thought that was kind of telling as well too, you know, trying to call her bluff. She wasn't trying to be true to herself, but she out here trying to hide behind her privilege and her statue with her friends, knowing that damn well knowing that she was down with the brothers. And the moment he came at her black, she was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of feeling this too, you know what I mean? So
my man took out the wave brush, and they should have just dropped the black logo like right there.
But Tariq Withers, I've seen him recently in Horror Noir, which was on Shudder, and then he's also in this new Netflix movie that's coming out called Senior Year. So yeah, he's been popping up a little bit often, and it was a little bit of surprise to see him in this. So he's on his way, very, very kind of new still in terms of his career, but like, you know, I enjoyed his character that he portrayed in this episode.
Like you said, with the noir setting, you definitely get the color contrast, obviously, between the whites, the blacks, and like, you know, his skin tone and whatever, which isn't too far from them, you know, it's how it's framed. But that was a good choice of backdrop there for the episode.
Yeah. Also, too, I just want to be clear, this episode synopsis is black and white episode, Yawn, Emmy Bait. Why do they hate black women so much? I know you all don't know what they're talking about here, but I do. The last big project that was black and white, and when you say Emmy Bait, because you're obviously trying to do an award, you think about movies that were black and white that was obviously put out in award season in order to get some looks, you know, and that's how it kind of works, you know, because people got short-term memory. And most movies wait towards that end of the year to make sure that they're right and fresh in the critics' eyes and minds for voting. Right. This goes back to that Netflix movie with Tessa Thompson and what is her name? I'm about to look this up real quick. But it's that black and white movie that came out that was on Netflix that everybody was talking about. Yeah, here you go, right here. Ruth Negga passing that two women, black women at that, in a film that was fantastic. It was tremendous acting. I love this movie, and it got nada. And that's what the reference is just that, you know, so I think it's a callback to that being a black and white movie, because that aesthetic has always been very it's always been really accepted in terms of art and production for award season, and it got great reviews. It just didn't get any rewards, and I think that's what he's referring to in his synopsis of black and white episode Yawn, Emmy Bait. Why do they hate black women so much? And I think he's talking about that movie Passing and how that did not get any awards with Ruth and Tessa. So, but anyway, this is episode 9 of Atlanta. Again, a shout out to Kevin Samuels, who guest starred in this. That was definitely a surprise. There's a lot of commentary in this episode, folks. So I'm definitely curious to know you all's take, things we may have missed, input, suggestions, and all that other good stuff in the comments below.
Also, what do you mix with your Hennessy?
You don't get to talk about Hennessy no more. You don't get a Scotch, so you don't get to talk about it.
Oh, I know I'm not getting that. Oh, you like anime? You got to go.
Anywho, yeah, we'll be back next week for another review of Atlanta. Jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode, and we'll see you back then. Thanks for tuning in, folks.